Aloha, soul friends and family. It's Jennifer Bell of Rebel Soul Designed, and I wanted to share some consciousness contemplation, or even life contemplation, or contemplation as I call it, that's been coming in for me lately, and it's my focus really. So a lot of people are, when they step into spirituality, they're kind of realizing they're more than just the physical, like there's more than just the physical reality. A lot of times they step through the door of, energy healing, and then they might step through the door through, maybe a psychic reading. Maybe there are other ways that they step through the door, but usually they step through the door because they've just run out of options in the physical. They just know there's something more and they don't know where else to look. And when you go into those realms of like healing and reading, like all of it's basically about energy and spirit. A lot of people are stepping in. How they're opening the door, the key that they're opening the door through is usually through the loudest frequency that opens a door is pain. So it's pain, or it's avoidance of pain, right? It could be frustration, it could be fear, it could be usually it's the frequency they're using to open the door. They don't realize that the frequency state that you're in when you're opening the door means that that's the reflection you're going to get when you step through the door into spirit. You're going to get more of the same, more of the understanding of the same. That's the way consciousness works. So when you start to do the inner work, it makes a difference because it allows you to be in your divinely centered frequency and consciousness. And then when you start opening the door to spirit, or opening the door to consciousness or alignment, or just being able to know how to digest and process this reality in a way that nourishes your life force instead of depleting it, it starts to make a difference. So that's why I stepped away from calling myself a healer or even really doing energy healing. And everything has shifted for me in such a big way. And for me, I started to see that people, when they were talking about their healer or their psychic or their astrologer, all those things, that they were like that information, that the person that it came from and the information was acting like God over them. They had made it like an altar over them that they worship them through, trying to find themselves, but really just getting lost. So that's why I want to talk a little bit about past lives right now. And past lives, future lives, concurrent lives. The operative word is life, right? The whole operative word here is life. But we're talking about consciousness. So when someone is saying they're reading your records, your past life, I don't know that they're really doing that. And because we know that consciousness is a mirror, we don't know like what mirror they're looking into, right, to help you, or what they're seeing. And we also don't know all the time what kind of frequency this person has been working on or working through within themselves. So there's a lot, right? So it's kind of like an interesting thing to think about. So let's say someone's opened the door to spirit through pain or avoidance of pain, which is usually, it's like probably the biggest one, because you can look at pain like another octave of pain, and the pain pleasure polarity is punishment reward. It's the same thing. So you're going through trying to avoid pain, trying to stop punishing yourself with your thoughts and your emotions. You're just, it's like you're sick of yourself. You're trying to get through. And then you go through your opening, using your frequency to open this up, as actually you're opening it up inside of yourself. You don't realize it because there's a lot of external focus. So then maybe you start, like working with an archangel or working with an ascended master. Well, it doesn't matter. You've actually, the frequency you're connecting to these beings, even if you're a medium, like, the frequency you're using to connect with these beings is avoidance of pain or pain. It's just pain. That would be it. That's That's the frequency. So you think that you're, in this like crazy kind of, to me, it's a very strange thing to, it's like everybody wants to channel the highest being. Meanwhile, they don't want to do the work to be in their own authentic beingness. It's a little strange to me. So, and in the past, I've worked this way, right? So I've gone through all of that work. Like I've gone through connecting to the archangels and the ascended masters and doing all those things. But I was doing body work, and I was an acupuncturist, so I was also offering some grounded healing, right? It's not even healing, we could say, just working with people, giving their bodies an opportunity to access their own innate healing power. So, but every time I would if it were a new spiritual being or whatever would connect, the first thing they would say would, don't give your power away to me. I'm not above you, right? And like they're not below me either. There was an equanimous, right, relationship. So part of the reason, I think, one, is just the way I'm naturally shaped, but based on my life mission, this is the way that it worked. And I wasn't opening the door in avoidance of pain. I was opening the door because I was really committed to helping others. I was committed to helping my clients with whatever they were struggling with. How could I help this person, right? So that was basically, how can I be present? That was my first intention. Moving into this work, it was all about being present. And then the other part was, how can I be of service, right, to this person? So it wasn't about me, it wasn't about my ego, or it wasn't about me feeling special or whatever it is. So going back again, so people open the door to spirit. Usually they're opening the door through the frequency within themselves, right? And they're opening the door to spirit in themselves. It's not really out here. They're using the key, the frequency they're using is pain. And then they think they're channeling some being, but really the frequency that's coming through is still pain, because that's the way you open the door. That was the way you step through the door. So you're going to usually get more and more of that, because that's the way consciousness works. So then when we look at past lives, future lives, concurrent lives, the operative word is life. So it's, how are you using your consciousness in life? So when people, I would say, are, reading past lives, you have to really tease it apart. You really have to tease it apart. And also, we don't know what mirror they're using, and we don't know what frequency they step through to connect. So and there's no way to prove. There's no way to prove that this was your life, that's how you lived, and that's the story. So it gets me to this point of saying where we need to operate is, sometimes I think that how these kind of, we could say these readings, right, work, is they may be able to tune into a story that you need to hear in order to liberate yourself, in order to free yourself, in order to find yourself, right? It's like, so you can be more in your authentic divine alignment. And so that's why I think storytelling is more important over, finding out who you were. Because part of the reason, again, people want to find out these things about themselves, because they're in pain. They're in pain. They're in pain because they're not in themselves. The pain is because you haven't discovered, you haven't inhabited your inner self, which leads, gets you to your authentic self, which helps you to be able to see the patterns of how things play out. So, and I know, the interesting thing that is, if you are, it's why I don't want to label myself as a healer, because then I have to say, well, people need to be healed. Well, I don't want to look at it that way. I want to say that people are whole. They have wholeness within them. They have divinity within them, and they have their own divine power, their own innate power to be able to come into themselves, to come to wholeness within themselves, which to me is what you could say healing represents. So moving away from using this word healing because it's nebulous. In a way, it's very nebulous. And because we're in this place where it's time that people are responsible for their own energy. They're responsible for their thoughts and their mind. So it's like constantly bringing an outer source of something that you think is more powerful than you are to help another person. You have to be able to start to see how that's disempowering. So the work is to be within, right? And to understand that the operative word in past life, future life, concurrent life is life. It's how you're using your life energy. And I would say if you're so focused on the past, understanding the past, you're ghosting yourself. You're becoming a ghost in the past. And that happens due to this pain. It's like there's a constant hunger for something that never gets satiated because it's all out here instead of in here. And it's in here, right? And that's a lot of like what's been created so far is created through this old paradigm where, people don't understand that spirit does not mean it's aligned. Spirit does not equal alignment. Alignment comes from the work that you do. And when you do the alignment work for yourself, then when you connect with spirit, it's a more authentic connection. It's going to reflect to you, the mirror of consciousness is going to reflect to you more of you. It's not going to reflect to you the pain, which is the frequency that you open the door of connection through. So that's a lot. It's a lot to unpack, I think, for people. And you can see my offerings are changing. And that's important to understand, important to know that I really want to help. All I want to do is help people do the work, commit to the work within themselves and working with the energy structures that's where your soul connects through your body. And that's really important. It's how you start to magnetize what is aligned for you in outer reality. It creates synchronicity in your life. So I hope that's helpful. And in this way, you can kind of stop perseverating on any past life stories anyone's ever told you about yourself. Let them go. Because it's like you're creating yourself in the now with those stories. And the other thing I would say is, because consciousness doesn't read past future, it doesn't care. It's like it doesn't have that. It's life. It's where you're focusing your awareness at the time. If you're so focused on this past life or this past incarnation, you may actually not understand that you might be creating a future incarnation. There might be something that is influencing you to have such a focus on a place or a time or yourself as a being, a certain type of being, that you could be creating another life stream. So that's why there's this, for me, it's about not being so attached. And it's interesting. It's like an interesting play, like here in this realm of not being too attached and just following what I feel is my Kuleana responsibility, what I need to do, how I can be of service, how I can, we could say, like, wield the sword of consciousness that is aligned and coming through the divine for myself and for others. And that's just the focus. That's just how I want to focus. So if I can kind of break through these little places for people where they're attached and not realizing, like I said, it's like you're creating yourself as a ghost, a hungry ghost. And that can create another incarnation stream. If you feel like there's something you absolutely have to do or so attached to, or it's got to be this way, or I have to get this done before I leave this body, if you don't, you could have already created another limb of consciousness. I'm not interested in that for me. So I hope that's helpful. If you feel like other people would benefit from hearing this, please feel free to share. And, keep your eyes out, because I am going to be offering some things to help dispel more of this. I'll be offering a course. So I hope this serves you well, and lots of joy and aloha. Bye.